the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. My name is Brian Wallace, and I am the MS Michigan Man 64. The MS Michigan Man 64 podcast is about chronic disease awareness. I have had multiple sclerosis for the last 27 years. It's an invisible chronic disease that I've been battling for half of my life. I want to share with you what it is like living with the chronic disease from my experiences and the experiences of other chronic disease warriors. We can fight to have a voice to those that want to listen. Together, we can motivate and educate. Hi, welcome back to the MS Michigan Man 64 podcast. Today I'm sitting down with my friend Joe. Joe is from New York, and Joe is not a multiple sclerosis warrior. Joe is what is called a CRPS warrior, which I had no clue what it was until I met Joe. So without any further ado, let me introduce Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thanks for being here, buddy. So, Joe, you have been diagnosed with CRPS. Can you explain what that acronym means and exactly what CRPS is?
Sure. So CRPS stands for Complex Regional Pain Syndrome. And in layman's terms, it's pretty much a catastrophic failure of your central nervous system, of your cranial nervous system. That's when your nerves are firing and keep firing because they're not getting the information back that they need. So that's pretty much what CRPS and not too many terms means.
Okay. So that's what you got diagnosed with. So how did you even come to get that diagnosis? Like, kind of what was your journey and path through that?
It was a long journey. So I've been diabetic for, good part of 18 years. A1C was pretty bad, actually. It was 14 at one point. So me and my wife decided to change our way of eating, and we started exercising. So I started doing 5Ks every morning. Well, one fateful morning, Brian, there was no ice, no snow on the ground, nothing until I slipped on ice. It was actually a slip and fall on black ice. Mm-hmm. So I remember the next day waking up and telling the wife, man, there's something wrong. This is not a regular sprain. I'm feeling like somebody grabbed a blowtorch and is torching my hand because I fell on my right wrist, right?
Yeah.
So we go to the emergency room. They run a set of x-rays, couldn't find anything. They put me in, one of those casts that they put you in the hospitals when you go. Yeah. A couple of days later, we go to orthopedic surgeon. He says, you know what, let me run another set of x-rays because I'm still complaining of this extreme excruciating burning. So he does a set of x-rays, cannot find anything. Well, what he did was he put me on a hard cast on the bottom, soft on top. Mm-hmm. And I remember driving home with the wife and saying, you know what, I think I'm allergic to the chemicals that they use for the casting material because the burning, it's even worse now.
Yeah.
What I didn't realize is when they put the cast on me, it was still warm. Mm-hmm. So the heat was making that sensation even worse.
Yeah.
About a week, maybe a little bit longer than a week, I tell the wife, you know what? We need to go to a different doctor. I cannot handle the pain. Let's get a second opinion. Mm-hmm. So I go to a place around here that deals with even the football players. So we go to them. I see their head specialist. They run more x-rays. Cannot find anything. Mm. So they take me off that cast and put me on a cast so I can remove myself and send me to OT. Well, I did OT for close to a good part of 6 months, give or take. And instead of getting better, I was getting worse. And when you go to OT, normally they put you on, heat when you arrive, and then they do cold when you leave. Right. Well, it started getting to the point where I couldn't do both. And the cold was even worse than the heat. And they've done everything they could, Brian. They stretched the muscle, they stretched the ligaments, they massaged it. I mean, they were great, but I
Yeah.
wasn't getting any better. And
Yeah.
now I'm starting to lose strength in my hand, which is not normal. I'm
Yeah.
right-handed. Your
Hmm.
right hand is supposed to be stronger than your left hand, and it was going the other way. And the guy says, you know what? That's kind of weird. You're doing all T. You're supposed to be getting stronger, and you're actually getting weaker. So the surgeon decides to do a couple of MRIs. They still cannot find anything. He says, you know what, Joe? What if we do exploratory surgery on you? I said, let's do it. At this
Yeah.
point, I'm in so much pain, you know, that I would have tried anything. If it would have said,
Yeah.
dance around, hop 3 times, touch your head, I would have done it.
Sure.
So they do exploratory surgery, and during the surgery, I wake up. Now I'm not
No.
feeling any pain, but I'm awake. I can
Yeah.
hear everything they're saying. I can see them, and I remember hearing this part when he says, "Oh crap, there it is." Then they
Just what you
realized it
want to
was
hear.
yeah, right in
Just
the
what you
middle of
want to hear
surgery,
when you're in. Yeah. Right.
you know. So they realize I'm awake. They put me back under. Once I wake up in the recovery room, he comes back and says, "You know what? I found that the ligament on your right wrist is you have a torn ligament." I said,
Hmm.
"Okay." He says, "I scuffed it up. I didn't want to put any pins or plates because I didn't want to ruin your career. I was an electrician at that point." And he said, "I
Hmm.
didn't want to ruin your career, and I want you to get back to work as soon as possible." So that was the end goal from the very beginning for me to go back to work.
Right.
So he scuffed it up. He also fixed the middle finger trigger finger, which I had developed at the same time, and sent me home. Sent me back to more OT.
Hmm.
Well, I remember going back to him after the operation and saying, cut it off. I was literally begging him to cut it off.
Cut your arm off.
Yeah,
That's how.
just the
That's
wrist. I
how.
wanted, I wanted at the wrist. I wanted that wrist cut off. The pain was,
Because you were in so much freaking pain, you were asking the doctor to cut your arm off at the wrist. Jeez, oh man.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you're talking. This pain is 24/7. It's not going down. Nothing. I'm not taking any pain
Yeah.
medications. All I'm taking is over-the-counter stuff, and the
Yeah.
over-the-counter stuff is not even touching it.
Yeah.
Not at all whatsoever. So I remember somewhere in the conversation with the guy with the OT, he says, "You know what? I think there's something else wrong in there." So he sends a note back to the surgeon. Surgeon says, "You know what? Let's do an EMG. We're not going to hurt anything." Little did I know that EMG was going to hurt more than anything I've ever. I thought the pain I had before was bad. That EMG took it to a different level.
Wow.
So the EMG comes back that I have a pinched nerve. My own nerve was pinched,
Hmm.
but it was also cut. And I remember me asking the guy, "Well, what can you do?" And he says, "If you were my kid, I would tell you the same thing. There's nothing I can do for you. But
Oh,
you
that's
still
great.
need the ulnar nerve decompressed, right?" Well,
Yeah.
and I wasn't really thinking, Brian, to be honest. I wasn't comprehending everything that was being said.
Yeah.
I was like
Sure.
just going with emotions.
Yeah. You just want the pain to stop. That's it.
That's that's it. That's all I wanted. It was just the pain to go away. I even asked him. I said, "Is there anything I can put on this?" And he said, "Lidocaine patches." I have 2 drawers that are full of lidocaine stuff,
Hmm.
patches, creams, ointments, you name it.
Yeah.
So I started using the lidocaine patches. That helped for a little bit. They don't help that long.
Hmm.
So the surgeon says, "You know what, Joe? Why don't we go in and do ulnar nerve decompression?" I'm like, "Let's do it." Now remember, COVID is happening through all this.
Yeah. Wow. So
So
yeah.
it's
So
not.
everything's shut down, and you're sitting there in pain, trying. Jesus, that's crazy, Joe.
Yep, yep. COVID is shutting everything because mine was an elective surgery, so it wasn't something that I needed to have. I was
Yeah.
just in a lot of pain and I wanted it.
Yeah.
So they do the ulnar nerve decompression. They also fixed another trigger finger that I got. It was the ring finger. I can't remember if I went back to OT or not. I don't think I did. But I remember somewhere in 2021, the beginning of 2021, telling the doctor, listen, this thing has moved from the wrist to the elbow and is now in the shoulder.
It's
There is
just
something going on here.
Yeah, it's just crawling up your arm.
Yes.
Wow.
And every time I went, I always felt like he thought I was lying because I don't look
Yeah.
like I could be in that much pain. There's no
Yeah.
signs of it. So you're trying to explain to this person you're having a pain that you've never experienced. There's burning. You feel like you're on fire the whole time.
Yeah.
Your nerves are firing 24/7. The
Mm-hmm.
hypersensitivity, and they kept saying, well, it's because of the surgery. Make sure you rub your hand on different materials. And I'm like, I've been doing that, and it's just getting worse and worse to where even taking a shower hurts. The
Yeah.
water hitting me feels like thousands of needles being poked at the same time. I'm
Yeah.
having trouble bathing with that arm.
Yeah. Like you
I,
got a bunch of sensory issues going on. Yeah.
yes. So and I had gone from a loofah to a washcloth to God. I think I tried everything in the market till I found the only thing that I have so far is still working. Knock on wood, is natural sea sponge. That's the only thing I can use to take a bath because once you wet it, it's soft enough.
Yeah.
But it had to be a natural sea sponge. The regular sponge wouldn't. It just you can feel the scraping of it.
Yeah. The material. Yeah. Wow.
And I used to tell the doctor, I'm like, it feels like somebody poured gasoline, lit it on fire, and then you grab the sandpaper and you're scuffing that skin with sandpaper. That's
Jeez,
what
man.
CRPS feels like.
God, I couldn't even imagine that. That's crazy.
And there's
So,
nothing I can put on it to help it.
yeah. So the doctors that you're seeing, you're seeing surgeons? I haven't. Have you said that neurologist at all? Has a neurologist been involved in any of this?
Not till later.
Okay.
Not till later. So I kept begging the surgeon, listen, dude, is there anything you can do for me? Is there anyone you can send me to that can say, you have this, you have that, or whatever, try to help me out. So he says, you know what, Joe, let me ask around. He does. And about a week and a half later, he says, I'm going to send you to this other place. They deal with pain. They're not a pain clinic, but they deal with pain. I said, okay. Now, mind you, I just said that part. They're not a pain clinic, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all I heard was they're a pain clinic.
Yeah.
I didn't hear that they were not. So eventually I got an appointment. I had to wait again 4 to 5 months to see them. I go in and I remember the first visit. The guy says, we're going to, first he goes, will you be up to doing ganglion blocks? And I said, I'm up to doing anything. You want to cut the hand off, let's do it. He says, no, we're not that kind of doctor. We're going to treat you differently. Instead of giving you pain pills, we do other things. We do injections, we do spinal cord stimulators. And I said, hey,
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to try anything at this point.
Yeah.
He says, why don't we do a ganglion block? So we do a ganglion block. That was an experience that I'll never do again, even though I had two done.
So
I remember.
explain exactly what the ganglion block is for people that are listening that don't know.
So stellate ganglion blocks, you have two ganglions on each side of your neck, right? One is for the right side of the body, one's for the left side of the body. And because mine is upper, that's where they use the ones next to the neck. So the whole theory behind it is they put a numbing steroid in there, and it's supposed to reset the nerves on that right side of the body. So their theory was if we numb them and we can reset them, maybe that pain, that excruciating pain you're having, is going to reset. The brain is going to think, listen, nothing's happening. We go back to normal. Well, that's not what happened. It made it even worse.
Wow.
And you got to have a set of them every 7 days. So 7 days later, I go again for my second one.
Yeah.
Even though the first one didn't work, I was like, you know what? I'll try it again, because how do I know it's not going to work? Well,
Right.
the second one, I remember before we even got home, it was just the pain was just too much, and I told the wife, no more. I'm not having another one done.
Wow.
So I go back to the doctor, and he says, you know what, Joe? I was talking to some of my colleagues, and they think you have RSD, which now is called CRPS. And I go, okay, cool. I didn't think nothing of it. Okay, so I
Yeah.
have CRPS. Really? What does it really mean? He
Yeah.
didn't really explain to me, and that's one thing I wish they would have explained to me better. So the way I got diagnosed with CRPS was they used the Budapest criteria, which you got to meet in each of the three steps. You got to meet one of the categories of it, and I had them all: the hypersensitivity, the sensation, the change of skin color. Even though mine wasn't changing to the purples or the reds, it was going
Hmm.
pale white. And to this date, I still get pale white skin.
Wow. Just
Uh,
on that one arm is where
just
you
on that one arm,
on that
and
one arm.
cold as ice. When it turns pale, it gets cold as ice. But it's just that one arm, all the way from the
Wow.
fingertips all the way to the shoulder blade.
All the way to the shoulder.
So I go home and I start going down the rabbit hole, and you get to a point when that rabbit hole where you just blank out. You just don't
Hmm.
want to, you know. So it wasn't really hitting me yet that I had a condition that was a life condition,
Hmm.
and that there's no cure for it.
Yeah.
You know.
And this and at this point you're working, but you're off work. And are you still, like, do you still have a job, or what happened there?
So I lost my job. The injury was on December 3rd of 2019. On December 4th of 2020, I lose my job. So I had already lost my job by the time.
So so you not only are going through all this shit of dealing with this pain and not getting answers, and now you lost your employment, so you lost your income. You're an electrician. I just can't imagine how this is beating you up and mentally, um, eh, while you're going through this, Joe. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable.
I I had really bad depression, Brian.
Yeah.
Really, really bad depression. My wife had to get a second job just so we can keep paying the bills, because
Yeah.
the bills keep
Yeah.
coming. The bills don't care if you have CRPS or not.
Right. No, they
You
don't
know.
care.
So he actually sent me to a colleague of his, and when I go to the new doctor, he says, Joe, have you ever thought of getting a spinal cord stimulator? And I said, no, but will it help? Well, it might help. I said, let's do it. Brian, I didn't think of it. I didn't do any research. I was looking for that fix, that
Yep.
quick pill that was going to take this pain that I had, that no one to this point can really help me with, away.
Yep.
Uh, I wasn't sleeping. I wasn't going anywhere. I was cooked up in the house, and it was just way too much mentally, physically. It was just exhausting.
Yep. So I actually have experience with a spinal cord stimulator because of, not because of my multiple sclerosis, but I have spine issues. From playing football at Michigan, I messed my back up there, and then, like, through age and all that, I've had a lumbar and two cervical surgeries, and a pain management doctor, recommended a spinal cord stimulator with me, and I had that implant put in about 4 years ago, and it sounded great. I mean,
Hmm.
I'm like, oh yeah, game on, game on. Go ahead and put it on. And yeah, it wasn't all what it was cracked up to be. And I'm kind kind of disappointed with it, and I mean, it doesn't bother me, but I'll hit it every now and then because where it's implanted on my back, I'll hit it on a chair and it kind of hurts. But as far as taking the pain away, nah, it was definitely oversold to for what it was supposed to do and what I've gotten out of it.
Definitely, I got to agree on that, Brian. It was definitely oversold. I was told, this is your last resort. This is going to help you out. And like I said, I didn't do any research. I said, let's do it.
Yeah. I hear you.
Let's do it. So on August of 2023, I get the trial. Now the trial went great. Oh my God, the trial was like the best thing besides sliced bread.
Yeah, same with me. That's what I thought too.
The trial went great.
Yeah.
So I'm like, let's do it. Let's do the permanent. So I believe I waited a month and a half before they did the actual permanent.
Mm-hmm.
Get the permanent done. You go through all the motion. You're in pain. But I started experiencing something that I hadn't experienced in a while. The same pain that was in my arm is now in my back.
Oh, Jesus.
Because with CRPS, any trauma that you cause to an area could bring CRPS to that area once you have it.
It migrates to that area.
Yes. And I didn't put two and two together when I did the wrist surgery, the elbow surgery. I didn't put two and two together that this pain was moving every time I had a surgery done.
Well, you're not even diagnosed with CRPS, though, right?
No, I was already diagnosed. Yes.
Oh, you are diagnosed with it. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah. And
right. So why would the doctor recommend that trauma with the implant if they should have known that trauma causes CRPS to spread? I don't know. In my logical head, that's the way I would think. Like they should know that, being doctors. Hey, we're going to put this implant in. We're going to cause trauma to this guy. We don't want to cause that CRPS to migrate over to that area. I don't know. To me, that just doesn't make sense. But I'm not a doctor.
They didn't even mention anything. They didn't even say, Joe, it may bring CRPS to the area. And there's only two things I can think of. One is CRPS is now well documented, well known, even though it's been around for a long, long time, way before the Civil War.
Sure.
I don't think it's very well understood, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like it.
And number two, I have to say the kickback that they got from the spinal cord stimulator.
Yeah, money grab. Yeah.
But so they do the surgery, and now not only do I have it in my wrist, my whole arm, now it's in my back, half of my face, the whole right side of my face has it.
Oh my God.
And the surgery went good. I do have to say the surgery went great. The surgeon did an awesome job. My leads have not really migrated that much that I need a revision, but the battery did flip. So the battery's sitting now, part of it is in the pocket and part of it is sitting outside the pocket at a 45-degree angle. So when you go to a park bench, right? Yep. And it's got that, slot in the middle. If I sit like that and I move up without moving forward, it will catch.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what you're talking about because where mine's at on my back. Mine doesn't stick out, but if I hit a chair a certain way on my back, I'll be like, ow, dang, that hurt. Right. But yeah, you definitely know it's there.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. Especially when you wear jeans, just the belt, it hits right on the right spot. Yep.
Yeah. So now you got your diagnosis, you got the spinal cord stimulator, and what are doctors telling you now? Because you're still in pain.
So I remember, I want to say maybe 5-6 months after the actual surgery, I kept saying, listen guys, this is not giving me the same results that I got when, we did the trial. So they programmed this thing by now. I'm a year and a half, just a little over a year and a half from the original surgery. And they programmed it probably 16, 17 times. I still cannot get anything above 25% relief from it. But before that, they actually sent me to a pain clinic. So now I go to a pain clinic. I take opioids, and so I take opioids. I have a spinal cord stimulator, and I'm still in excruciating pain.
And you're still in excruciating. Man, I'll tell
Yep.
you, Joe, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling to me that people have to live with this disease, and there's just no answers, and it's just amazing to me. I don't know how you, at least with my disease, I mean, okay, you have MS, and these are the things that happen with MS. So I got reasons why I'm feeling certain things. I'm like, okay, but I mean, you're feeling stuff and you're just trying to get answers as to why, and nobody's giving you any kind of answers for relief. It's just, that's got to have a tremendous toll on your mental health.
It does. And there's days where, I'm thinking, am I really feeling all this, or is it something that I'm making up in my head? Because some days the pain is so much, Brian, that you're like, there's no way I have this much pain. Plus, I didn't realize with CRPS, it weakens your muscles, it weakens your tendons, it weakens your ligaments, your bones. So now the CRPS can also migrate, right? Even though if you talk to a lot of doctors, they're like, oh no, it cannot migrate. I can tell you from personal experience that it can and it will.
Does. Yeah.
I'm living proof that it does. Well, now I also have it in my right leg. Because normally CRPS, before it goes full body, stays in one side. So if you injured your left foot, it will stay on your left side. It will go up to your left arm, left hand, stuff like that. Most of the time, that's what it does before it goes to the other limb. Mm-hmm. Well, now I have it on my right leg also. So because of the weakening of the ligaments and all that, I have a torn muscle on the bottom of my right foot that will never heal. And guess how I got that done? Getting into bed. Getting into bed. My foot got caught because my bed goes all the way to the ground. My foot got caught there, and I moved to the right, and the big toe stayed. So that's how I tore that muscle.
Wow. People just don't
understand. And there's nothing
they
can do.
No. And people just don't understand that people have to live with this stuff every day.
No.
And they don't understand how hard and difficult it is. And you said you're married. How has your wife been with this diagnosis? Because I mean, that's got to be that's a life changer for a spouse too.
I am very lucky, Brian. I want to say I'm one of the luckiest men on earth. My wife is very understanding. She, from the very beginning, whatever we need to do, whatever you need, whatever we got to do, we're going to do together. And, I mean, we've been married for 17 years, 23 years together. So she's stuck around, man. She definitely has. She has stuck around.
Yeah.
But it's definitely life-changing. Yeah.
So what would you tell somebody that is in the beginning of this, going through they got this unbelievable pain and they're trying to get it figured out? What would your advice be to them as far as trying to get answers as to what's going on? And if somebody feels like they're getting spun around, what would your advice be to them?
One is don't lose hope. Don't ever lose hope. There's others out there like you. There's others that understand you. There's others that are going through the same thing as you. And if you can get into Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, find the invisible community out there.
Yeah.
Find those that have CRPS. They're out there. I didn't know that there were others with CRPS out there.
Yeah.
So for the first year and a half, 2 years, I was on my own thinking I was the only one who had it.
Yeah.
Because everybody kept calling, oh, you have a rare disease, you have a rare disease. Well, okay, so I have a rare disease that's incurable. Great.
Yeah.
Am I the only person that has it?
Yeah. Like I said, Joel, when I first met you, I was just being introduced to CRPS. I had no clue what it was. And I see so many people that have been diagnosed with CRPS, and their stories are exactly like yours as far as the pain, and it's just unbelievable that people are suffering with that on a daily.
Yeah. Plus, CRPS can also affect your internal organs. Once it goes full body, you know, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. Now, it can CRPS be fatal, or is it just
Yes.
debilitating?
I don't know anyone that has died from CRPS per se, but if it goes internal organs, it can affect your heart. It can affect your lungs.
Yeah.
You know.
Like I know a lot of people, some people say that, oh yeah, she died from MS. And I'm like, no, you don't die from MS. MS
The
can't kill. I mean,
complications.
it can screw up, your,
Right.
vital organs, but you're not going to die from the MS. But I was just
Right.
wondering, yeah, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't think you would die the same way. It would just be the complications of CRPS. Like you can
yeah.
develop POTS from CRPS.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Wow.
So it's the complications of CRPS that can cause you,
Joe, you're just in the short time I've known you, it's amazing that you have such an amazing attitude. Even though I know you're in pain. I there's no doubt in my mind you're in pain, but you are always such a positive person. Every time I see you or talk to you, you always got a smile on your face. And you're honest. I mean, you'll sit there and say, not a good day, man. I'm really struggling today.
Right.
But I love talking to you, and I really appreciate you coming on today and teaching me something about CRPS, and hopefully, spreading some awareness as to what this disease is all about and what people are suffering with, and just bringing more attention to it, because I definitely think it needs more attention.
It definitely does. Definitely.
Yeah.
It needs more of a voice.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe.
It's not as rare as people make it to be.
Yeah.
A lot more people have it. There's celebrities that have it that don't talk about it. One of them is like Paula Abdul has it.
Really?
Yeah, she was ridiculed when she was younger because, people were saying that it was on her head, that she was lying.
Wow,
George
I never
Clooney
knew
has
that.
it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. See, and those people with that platform, they should really be talking about it and using their voice to spread awareness with that disease. I mean, God dang.
I think the problem is like Paula Abdul, she was ridiculed when she was younger for saying, because when you think about it, if you look at me, right, I don't look sick. So if I'm constantly telling you, listen, I'm in this pain that I feel like somebody's burning me from the inside out.
Well, the first thing someone's gonna say is, "Oh, it can't be that bad."
Right, or it's on your head. You sure you really having that kind of pain? Because you can't see it. It's an invisible condition. You cannot physically see it unless you have the change of the skin. It can also affect when your limbs, you lose your motion, all those limbs. So unless you have those things, you look just like the person next to you. You look healthy.
Yep.
You look normal.
Yep. Yeah, and it's the same with fibro. It's the same with multiple sclerosis. I mean, I've had it for 27 years. If you look at me, I look normal, but I'm not
Right.
normal though. I'm
Right.
far
Neither
from
am
it.
I.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mask a lot. That's for sure. We
Yeah.
mask a lot. You know.
Yeah. No doubt. Joe, I really, I appreciate you coming on. I could sit here and talk to you for hours, but I know you have things to do. But I would definitely have you back on again. I definitely think that people need to talk about the CRPS and they need to understand it and learn about it and know that people are out there and suffering with this disease.
Right. Thank you, Brian, so
Right?
much for having me on.
Yeah, not a problem, buddy. Um,
Yeah.
I definitely will have you on again. And so this is the MS Michigan Man. I am going to get out of here for the day. I will talk to you all later. You have a good day.